All right, Jen. So we have about 8 to 9 moves that we came up with today that are traditional, popular yoga poses and positions. But what I have for each of them is just a simple tweak you can do to make it a little more challenging, a little more full body, a little more hip and core focus, which is obviously your goal. So again, you can do them the traditional route. You can do these little tweaks we're making here. I leave it to you. But in, assuming from this list, maybe you got 6 or 7 that you like, you could do each one for a few, 2 or 3 rounds with a little rest in between. So let's say you're spending about 3 to 4 minutes on each move. We find 6, 7 moves. We got close to a half-hour program there that's pretty fast-paced, not a lot of rest in between, time enough for transitions and grabbing maybe some light dumbbells or move extra accessories there. But I like this. Eventually, this could be a nice, neat 30-minute yoga routine. But this is just kind of the building blocks. We're figuring out what we like and what we don't like. So, just going to run down the list here. So. We started on the floor. I like starting on the floor ones here, all the easy ones. But again, at home, maybe you start standing and kind of work yourself down. Your call. We did bridges. So again, I still want you doing bridges and staggered bridges. Not so much this version anymore, we found out, but still love lots of bridges. But obviously, if you're getting into more of that isometric hold, boom, we're holding that bridge. We had 2 options. One, I didn't mind the idea of adding some upper body work. I think that's an easy addition. But if we're talking more hips, I simply like a weight shift. So just put a little bit more weight on that left side, loading up that left hip. Maybe you're doing that for 5 to 10 seconds. Switch over, load that right hip. It's really up to you, your pace on the weight shifting. Eventually, I love getting a foot off the ground. I can appreciate we're not quite there today, but that's what we're going for, shifting to eventually clear that other leg. So, press or weight shift on the bridges. All right, next move was cat-cow. With both of these, I like a leg lift. Again, if you're in the cow position, that's pretty easy. You should be able to go nice and high, good range. You can either do reps or holds. I think we've decided holds are a pretty nice way to make sure those muscles are engaging. So we got this, boom, other leg, nice long hold. Also do the same in the cat position. Gonna be a little harder, excuse me. You don't get quite the help from your glutes there. So that's a great way, again, get the glutes and the hips going in a cat-cow, good posture position. Low lunge, this was one knee down, we lunge a little bit onto that front leg. Piece of cake here to hold. Next step is just holding, I like holding either hands, or if we can grab some 3s or some 5s, some lightweight, and just hold that. Anytime you add that overhead, gets that core going that much more. So I think just a nice 20, 30 second hold here. Boom, switch legs. Again, nice 20, 30 second hold. You can also play around with this angle. Instead of lunging straight forward, I'm a big fan of those angle lunges for you. So maybe you kick that one out. You lunge a little bit crooked. That'll get that groin engaged. And then you're doing the same thing. So a couple options there. Again, some of these you might spend 30 seconds on. Some of them this might be a 5-minute move if you do a couple varieties within that movement. We had the hero pose. That was simply, I don't like a lot of downtime here because you had some tightness in the knees. Again, throw a pillow or a blanket or something over your heels if you choose. But I still like you staying engaged here and just working on this slow up and down descent. Again, we want to make it harder. Maybe we throw something here. Boom. We can throw something out here. Get some shoulder involvement if you can. But this quad work is wonderful. All right, now we're going to get into a little more stand and sit, or standing then sitting. We had the chair pose. This is where you find a seat that is relatively high. I don't want this to be the deepest squat in the world. find your sit, come off it a few inches, hold that position, long as you are comfortable. Boom, sit down. And that might be a few reps there, a few sets there, long holds. So again, rather than just doing squats, which we've talked about before, we've done, now we just want to get better at that hardest position, just a few inches off that ground, maintain. Love that one for you. We did the high lunge. So now instead of doing a lunge with a leg on the floor, or knee on the floor, now we're up on the stairs, doing a lunge. And again, we didn't really talk about much addition here. You can definitely add the arms as you see fit. You can add some rotation. Ooh, lost mine. Add some rotation as you see fit. I love that. But right now, because that glute tends to be the limiting factor, we're just hanging on as long as we can until those glutes say no. And then switching sides. Again, 2 or 3 rounds on each one here would be awesome if we're just really trying to build up the hip endurance, which it sounds like is still the goal with the walking. All right, a couple more here. We had an elevated plank. So up to you how high you want to elevate. Boom, we're in this elevated plank position. From here, we ended up doing a little bit of a march, was nice. And get some hip flexors going. Boom, you can do a little outward march if you want. Boom. Leg lifts a little harder in this position. We've already done that in the cat-cow, so you probably don't need to mimic that as much. So I like either just holding this elevated plank. Boom, that's a little harder. Okay. When you're doing planks, easy, medium, hard if you really stick that, take your shoulder blades back. And then here, we got some leg action. Love that one. And then that last one was the warrior. Again, this is just find a good position and hold. We don't need to add a lot of active motion there. So there's 9 that I really like. We also found the that hip was a little tight, so if you want to finish off a little stretch, or maybe this is more of a pre-walk or post-walk stretch, remember 90 degrees with the knee, tall chest, and then that little bit of lean. You can do this on a table or a couch or on the floor. But I love this for your hip when you are feeling that tension. And then just make sure when you're done, kind of tighten everything back up again. Squeeze, isometrics for the win to get everything nice and loose. I love that routine. It makes sense on a lot of different levels. It's as close to full body as we can get without adding too much that's going to either make the elbow or the shoulder get upset. So I really like what it is, where it is now, but eventually it can definitely grow and grow and grow as we can add to it. I'll send you an elbow sleeve link. Again, go really easy on that. Up the ice to maybe once or twice a day on that, and just try to lay low on the elbow for a little while longer. And we'll catch up in about a month. And until then, reach out if anything comes up. Take care. Bye.